And welcome back to my channel. Jacob Payton here, and today I'm going to be doing a book haul. It's early October, but knock on wood is probably the only book haul I'm going to be doing this month, as this month for me is mostly going to be about reading, not getting more books. If you watched my last video, you know that I have at least 8 books that I am trying to get through by the end of this month. It's that time of year, you know, I'm really just diving hard into horror, so while I'm not going to be reading as much sword and sorcery outside of maybe some short stories and stuff like that, don't worry, I will be diving into it as there are some really cool releases coming out. If you are someone that's subscribed to this channel to watch me talk about science fiction or sword and sorcery, don't worry. Like I said, that will be happening, but October is all about horror, and that is what I'm going to be focused on. So, without further ado though, let's dive into this book haul. First up, I've got Peter Benchley'S Beast. That is, Peter Benchley, if you don't know, is the author of Jaws, the movie about, well, the book about the shark that kills everyone that got made into a movie. He also wrote about a town getting attacked by some giant squids. This book is not in great condition, but it was basically on a rack where it was like 2 paperbacks for $1, so I said, why not? If you've watched this channel for any length of time, you will know that I have another edition that I actually plan to read from, like a cool collected hardcover edition. So I will be reading that at some point this year. Probably, well, not this year, actually. Probably closer to next year when I am back into my full-on aquatic horror mode. And probably spring, maybe. But yeah, I love this paperback. I've been trying to grab a copy of it for a while. They tend to be a little expensive sometimes. And, you know, I hate that Amazon gamble where you just don't know which edition you're going to get. I want the edition with the cool cover. Then next up is a book that I have not heard of. This is called Craven Moon by Billy Sue Mazaman. And it's got a cowboy kind of like in a maybe Kansas or Midwest kind of farm looking thing, somewhere in the prairie. But it says a vampire novel, which always gets my attention, and it says the thrilling sequel to Red Moon Rising and Malachi's Moon. I obviously haven't read those other 2, but I'm excited to dive into this, and maybe I'll look up the other 2 books as well. It says, fueled by a craving for vengeance, would he sacrifice his humanity to his vampire heritage? I don't know, but I'm excited to find out. I love vampires and I like cowboys, so I'm excited to see them tangled up together. Next up is Knights of Blood. It says, he was out to solve a mystery in the dark and terrifying world of the vampire. Kind of like some knights up there. I've actually almost bought this book a couple times. Both times I picked this book up, it was kind of a little more than I was willing to pay on a used paperback that I didn't really know a whole lot about. So I did put it off. I think one was like an Etsy store and one was another thrift store. But anyway, I found this. It was a great deal. I was at Myrtle Beach, so I said, you know, what the hell, and went ahead and pulled the trigger, and I'm excited to read it. If you guys, once again, if you guys watch this channel, you know I love vampires. I love vampire horror. And I also love sword and sorcery. So the idea that there are some knights, I mean, that guy's holding what looks to be like a giant 2-handed sword. Everyone's armed and they're going to be fighting vampires. I mean, that is right up my alley. Next up, I got Greg Bear's Dinosaur Summer. This is a little more science fiction, but I do love dinosaurs. Oh, this is one of those books that does not have the description on the back. That is a shame. I don't know a whole lot about what is going to happen in this book, but everything I saw online when I picked it up has like sings its praises. You know, I did read Carnosaur this year. I'm planning on reading Jurassic Park. If not starting it this year, then I'm kind of shooting for November, to be honest, because it seems like you guys really dug that Carnosaur video. But I might add this to that while I'm reading. Maybe do like a dinosaur double feature, Jurassic Park and Dinosaur Summer. Let me not drop all these books on the floor. But yeah, this looked pretty cool. I love the cover. It looks like, you know what? I'm not even gonna take a guess. I was gonna say Allosaur, but I think I'm completely wrong. I don't think they're the ones, the T-Rex with the horn things. Either way, I will definitely read that and maybe Jurassic Park at the same time. I think that it's a really fun idea, and that I think more on it, I think it'll be a kind of a cool thing to do. Next up, I have EverQuest, The Rogue's Hour by Scott Cenan, and it says R.A. Salvatore presents. This is a paperback edition, and this is actually in really good condition. Man, I have wanted this book for a while. This is another one of those books where I keep finding it. I've never come across the paperback edition until now. I always find the hardcover edition, and it's big. And to be honest, I just don't have that kind of shelf space. That's why I like paperbacks. You can kind of just, if you lay them the right way, you can kind of just keep getting paperbacks onto one shelf. So I was kind of looking for the paperback edition. I wasn't seeing it. And the ones I did find, I mean, they were pretty expensive. This is definitely the more popular, I think, EverQuest novel. And this is also the one that when I bring up wanting to read EverQuest novels that everyone tells me to read. I did read Blood and Steel earlier this year, and I enjoyed that. So I'm hoping that I enjoy this as well. I never actually played a rogue in EverQuest, but I do like that they have the Ishkar, which is the lizard man up here with the staff. Probably a monk, if I had to guess. Well, he has a spear, so maybe he's not. But Ishkar monks, I remember a lot of people playing those. I've tried to get back into EverQuest, a little bit of tangent here, but I just haven't really been able to do it. The grind just kills me. If you're someone else that played EverQuest when you were younger, or Champions Return to North, which was my favorite game, then maybe you'll understand my pain. I really wish they would do something with all that world and that lore, maybe like a 5th edition supplement or something, because there was a role-playing game on the D20 system. I mean, the thing that I really love about EverQuest, and I talked about this, I think, a little bit on the Blood and Steel episode, is just the fact that its lore was so in-depth and so great and just so amazing. And the gameplay was very grindy. It feels very dated a lot of times when you go back to it. But man, the storytelling in that game, and even the games that came out for the PlayStation 2 were just top notch. And I really wish they would, Daybreak Studios, I think, still owns it. I really wish they would do something, maybe get some writers in there to let them play in that sandbox or something, and put out some more novels, or even just put out some lore books or something. 5th edition supplements would be amazing, but that's neither here nor there. Next up, I have Winter Witch by Elaine Cunningham, which is a Pathfinder Tales book. I've read one Pathfinder Tales book, which was like, Silent Blade or something like that. It was about like an assassin that was taking on some centaurs. Shy's Blades, maybe. I can't remember if I reviewed it or not. It was good. But I have not seen a lot of these books out in the wild. I do pick them up when I come across them. I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about Pathfinder lore. I remember following Pathfinder pretty extensively when it was a 3.5 module, but I kind of fell off when it became its own game. That being said, I do really enjoy the video games. I have the Pathfinder's game books. Every time I try to play with someone, they just want to play D&D, so I have actually yet to play a game of Pathfinder, although I have heard it's extremely fun. But I am definitely excited to read this and to learn a little more about the lore and what's going on in the world, because I do know that there are a lot of options in Pathfinder. That's kind of all, if you know nothing else about it, just know that it's kind of that 3.5, that 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons level of crunchiness, but in a good way. I think they really excelled on it from what I've read in the rule books. I'm sure there's some people that have played it that are probably, calling BS right now. But from the outside looking in, it looks like a lot of fun. And like I said, I really enjoy playing the RPGs like Wrath of the Righteous and Kingmaker, where you do get to kind of explore the rules a little bit, and it's a lot of fun. So definitely excited to learn a little about the lore. And, I do see the book bundles pop up on Humble Bundle every now and again, so maybe I'll just pick those up at some point and do like a whole Pathfinder deep dive. Because, yeah, it seems like they're pretty committed to keep still putting out fiction, whereas I have not seen any new D&D fiction in quite some time. I don't even know if they still have a fiction arm, or if that's something Wizards of the Coast is interested in outside of, like, the Drizzt Do'Urden books. But anyway, I also haven't researched that, so don't listen to me. The last time I looked at that was quite some time ago. Next up, I've got 3 books. This is the first 3 books of the Sword of Shanara books by Terry Brooks. That's Wishing of Shanara, the Elfstones of Shanara, and the Sword of Shanara. I have put off reading these books for quite some time. It wasn't something that I thought about doing. Really, people have told me to read them a lot over the years, and I just never really got around to it. I did really enjoy the show on MTV, so I don't know why I didn't dive into it. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm going to rectify that. I'm going to read the first 3 books at some point. I don't know if I'm going to start them this year or if that's something I will tackle in the new year, because I do think I'm going to want to read these one right after another. And I do know that, you know, my TBR is already looking a little crazy. You know, the second... Sorry, I'm getting a little tongue-tied here. The second book in the Hanover Chronicles is coming out like the middle of this month, so I know that I'm going to want to read that. I got to set my library hold, and that's going to bleed into the following month probably as well, as those are pretty big books. But yeah, I don't know. That is going to be a to be continued on my TBR for sure. It's going to be wherever I can pencil it in. Next up, I've got not a fiction book, but it's Anthony Bourdain's Medium Raw, A Bloody Valentine to the World of Food and the People Who Cook. I worked in restaurants for a little over 6 years. I absolutely love Anthony Bourdain. I grew up watching him on TV. I loved his book Kitchen Confidential, and I've read a lot of his writing. One thing I have realized, though, is that I just didn't own a lot of his actual physical books, and I'm trying to rectify that, and I came across Medium Raw, which I actually haven't read. So, yeah, I just picked it up. I thought it'd be kind of fun. I don't know when I'll read this. I'll probably... A lot of his books kind of read... His chapters read like essays, so I'll probably put it down and pick it back up a whole lot. This is not something I'll review on the channel. So don't worry if you're here for fantasy, science fiction, horror. That is what it is most likely going to remain. But following up with another nonfiction book, I just thought I would include it because, you know, I already included the Anthony Bourdain book, so I might as well just include all the books I bought the first week of October. I have The Day of Battle, The War in Sicily and Italy in 1943 to 1944. Volume 2 of the Liberation Trilogy by Rick Atkinson. I actually found this is the same store I found the Sword of Shanara trilogies, and I thought I'd just go ahead and pick this up as I am trying to learn a little more about my chosen faction in Bolt Action, which is a really fun game, by the way. I still need to paint all of my figures, but if you're in war gaming and you want to do something that's a little less expensive than Warhammer 40k, I do recommend trying it. I picked up the Italian army, the Italian starter army, for like, I don't know, I think it was like $100. It runs on sale on Amazon. A lot of the armies, some of the full armies go under 100 at times. Maybe I'll do a review of that sometime on the channel so that this video doesn't get too long. But yeah, it's pretty fun. If you are a Warhammer 40k player, I do recommend taking a look at it. It's a pretty simple system. And I've enjoyed it so far. I haven't done tournaments or anything like that. I've just played with some local people. I also have quite a pile of shame. My army is not completed, much like my Warhammer 40k army, sadly. Next up, I've got Anne Rice's The Mummy, or Ramses the Damned. I have not actually read a lot of Anne Rice. I didn't read Interview with the Vampire. I read Queen of the Damned, and I read another book that was about Lestat, and then I read the Blackwood books. Yeah, it's a lot different than the movies, obviously. I do enjoy some of her writing style. No, I will say some of the stuff that she puts in her books is sometimes unnecessary and other times over the top, or at least to me. I do enjoy her take on a lot of things, though, and yeah, I've heard really good things about this book. I just thought I'd go ahead and pick it up, and this is an older copy, and I was like, yeah, this will look kind of cool on the shelf, even if I don't like it. I also have a friend who's a massive Anne Rice fan, so if this is something I don't get into, I will probably re-gift it to them for their birthday. But I have a feeling I'm going to enjoy it. I recently started watching Interview with the Vampire, the AMC version, and I liked that a lot. I think almost a little more than the original movies. I don't know how many seasons it is. I think I finished the first season. I should probably look into how many other seasons there are. But yeah, I absolutely love the first movie. The scene when the vampires are fighting in Paris is probably one of my most favorite scenes in cinema. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to read it to see if it's different. I also think that I would maybe like some of her stuff a lot more if they didn't revolve around Lestat, if that makes sense. So I'm excited to kind of read about another character because Lestat, he needs an ego check. And that is one of the issues I have with that character a lot of times. And then next up, I have Charles E. Gannon, Trial by Fire, Tales of the Terran Republic. I've been reading a lot of older science fiction recently. This has a pretty cool cover. But I've been reading a lot of older science fiction. I've been reading a lot of military science fiction, at least the previous month especially. So when I saw this, I was like, you know what, I'll give this a try. I've been reading a lot of Baen books recently because I did not realize how many really good science fiction and fantasy books that they've put out that I just did not know about. Luckily, my local library is pretty committed to stocking Baen, which is really cool. I wish they would do the same thing about the Black Library and I could get more Warhammer books, but that is neither here nor there. Yeah, I have not read anything by Charles E. Gannon before, but I'm definitely excited to check it out. And this does look like it's part of a series, which is always great because then if I like it, I can go on and read, the next book. But yeah, that is all the books I picked up this first week of October. This is probably my only book haul this month, knock on wood. I'm not planning to spend any more money. Obviously, I have a lot of books to read. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. If you've read any of these authors or liked them, didn't like them, let me know in the comments below. Also, feel free to recommend any books like them that I should read or that I should avoid. I always love to hear you guys' input. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.